So today is October 11th, second week of Chaos-a-ween, and for it I just finished reading Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. An old man, a young man, and life's greatest lesson. Life's greatest lessons. Yeah, I'm glad that I read this this time of year because of how many of the events in this book actually did take place in the fall time. Because what it's about, it's the true story about how Mitch Albom, when he was in college back in the 1970s, he had this great, college professor named Maury Schwartz, who had a very, very non-traditional teaching style. He mainly focused on helping the students to learn and understand, life. And so Mitch describes how, like, many years after college, Maury came down with ALS, and, unfortunately that was what, led to his passing. And before he did, Maury, did some things that, really moved his local areas. He held his own living funeral, and so it caught so much attention that, Nightline then did an interview of him. And so, for Mitch, that was actually how he ended up learning what his professor is now doing. And so he then went out to go, see, Maury again. And so they then, spent, the next few weeks where Mitch would meet him, once a week on Tuesday, and Maury would share all of his important life lessons for the intention that Mitch would write it up as, his, thesis. And it was all very powerful. It just really made me cry, especially since it was just kind of like something that I really needed right now. As when, Mitch wrote this, he had been kind of going through all sorts of ups and downs in life, and Maury had to teach him some important lessons in life that he needed, some especially important things to contemplate, like when you're, middle-aged, things about, family and love and what matters most in life, and forgetting about all of the, cares of the world, forgetting about material things like, money, and instead just, really just trying to focus on being a good, person. And so I highly recommend this. It was a pretty good autumn read. So I'm very glad that I read this. As for what's next on Chaos-a-thon, as when I had rolled the dice last time, I had gotten both Back to School and Orange Cover. So now I'm going to read the Martian Chronicles. I'm really excited to read this. I want to read some Ray Bradbury. I've read some of his short stories before, and I just really want to, read this, a well-known classic, and I admire Bradbury for so many reasons. So now I'm going to see how much progress I can make reading this in the next few days. First, I need to do some shopping. So I just started reading the Martian Chronicles, and so far it looks like it's going to be a bit slower paced than I expected. So I'm kind of worried about how long it might take for me to read it. I'm hoping to finish it before Wednesday, which would be the start of week 3 of October. So basically I want to finish it by the end of week 2. But I will definitely need to devote a lot of time to reading, obviously. It'll be kind of difficult when I also planned on devoting more of my time on writing, because Monday the 13th, Columbus Day, that will be a significant writing day for me, because I want to kind of work on revive my old science fiction story that I called Columbus Day, because it's about aliens and humans making first contact. So, which makes it all the more fitting that I'm reading some old classic sci-fi, like the Martian Chronicles. I'm going to try to read this as quick as I can, even though it's a bit slow paced, but it's really, really well written. I mean, because that's one of the things that really amazes me about Ray Bradbury is just how great he was with the writing craft. He wrote like the most beautiful language, so very descriptive, so good with mood and setting. So hopefully I'll get to finish it soon. Hey, so I wanted to update to say that, I'm still reading this. Today is October 15th, middle of the month. So I am going to have this episode cover 2 weeks because of that, as we are now starting week 3. So once I finish reading this, I will then move on to the next new roll of the dice. I want to say this is a pretty fascinating book. Really interesting story. So, Ray Bradbury does a really great job at having a plot twist at the end of each new story. The language is really vivid and very immersive, and he does well portraying insanity. Wow, so I'm really interested to see where this all goes. So I finished reading The Martian Chronicles, and it was incredibly good and definitely a solid 5 stars. It's a masterpiece. One part that really amazed me tonight was that I did not expect to see his short story, There Will Be Soft Rains. See, I'd heard about that short story before, but I didn't know that it's here in The Martian Chronicles, so I'm glad that I was able to read that. You see, There Will Be Soft Rains is a short story that he had written that portrays the apocalypse, where there's this house that is empty and there's this starving dog and there's a empty nursery, and the computer reads out loud this poem, and the poem describes like what the world would be like if there was just the animals and natures but no humans. Overall this was a pretty sad book, but at the same time just still so good. I think part of what I liked about it is that I have to admit that I and Mr. Bradbury agree on some things. We live in chaotic times right now. Back in the era when he lived, they were living in chaotic times, so oftentimes, we think about, just what kind of direction the human race is headed. This is a great book that I recommend. And also, if you are an English teacher or language arts teacher in high school or middle school or junior high, please assign your students this. I'm pretty sure there's a way to put in the curriculum. It was also surprisingly a pretty good Halloween book as well. Especially since there's a well-known story in it called Usher 2, which makes a number of literary allusions to Edgar Allan Poe's stories. It references the House of Usher, the Murders of the Rue Morgue, the Premature Burial, the Cast of Amontillado, and The Pit and the Pendulum. And that one is a really very Halloween themed. So today is October 21st, and so I've basically covered, weeks 2 and 3 of October, so we're now in the final 10 days of October. So I am very happy that I will now have the chance to roll my dice and get another square and see where we go from there. And so I anticipate right now that this specific vlog video is going to cover the next few days until the 24th, because the weekend of the 24th through 26th will be a special weekend I'll set aside for doing the Chaos-a-thon that's hosted by Donna Marie Reads. Anyways, on to rolling the dice, because I'll be pretty happy to see what I might be able to read or do in the next few days until then. New prompt, new prompt, new prompt, new prompt. Will it be self-care or reading or what? 2 and a 4. So that's an interesting one because of how I have gotten that before, and so that can either be nonfiction or book, less than 300 pages, and so when I read Shipwreck at the Bottom of the World, like, it actually went under both of those categories. So the interesting thing here is that from there, I could either pick a nonfiction and say Shipwreck went in the category of like under 300, or I could pick a short book and I would say Shipwreck went under nonfiction, or yeah, you get the picture. So I'm going to look at my pile of possibilities, see what I might do. So to recap my options here for going along with, the season, prompts, and other reading goals, other readathons, reading challenges I'm in. Options include, The Body by Stephen King, 1922 by Stephen King, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, who I just read. One that I actually just got recently, kind of post my video on Pile of Possibilities, is Monster High by Liz C. Harrison. This would be pretty good for the Halloween season. And Hatchet, of course, and Ray Bradbury's Zen and the Art of Writing. And, for the Storygraph challenge, of like the alphabet challenge, I need to read something that starts with J, and so at first I've been thinking just Ella, which would also count for Herked, but given I'm pressed for time, I'd like to read Julie of the Wolves, since this is a shorter book, and it would also count towards Herked. Let's see, All Systems Red could also be good for this time of year, and I Am Not a Serial Killer by Dan Wells. No relation to Martha Wells. Okay, and for nonfiction I also have The Hiding Place by Corey ten Boom. And this is an option, The Watsons Go to Birmingham. And also for the autumn post-apocalyptic theme, Skye Jumpers, The Forbidden Flats. This would also count to finishing a series. And Cut by Patricia McCormick. And, I really want to read When the English Fall by David Williams. And one I did not mention before, Perrault's Fairy Tales. So after contemplating it, I think I'm going to go for Fahrenheit 451. After reading the Martian Chronicles, I'm definitely very interested in reading into even more of his stuff. And it will complete a couple Storygraph prompts, so I actually will finally finish the buzzword cover challenge, and it will be the letter F for the A to Z challenge. I might even find another challenge prompt it can go under. I'm way overdue on reading this, so I'm going to get down to that. I know that I will not be able to complete it in the next, 3 days, especially since, tomorrow I'm going to be focusing on writing. And then the day after that, I will probably need to do some shopping. But I could be able to progress on it actually during the readathon weekend, so I can't talk anymore. Anyways, given that I've kind of run out of every ounce of energy now, I'm just going to finish up there for today. So I have to go run off now with my new boyfriend, Ray Bradbury.
Oh, hi! It's me again. I missed you. You remember me, right? I'm not only there at night. You seem a little nervous in your head. It's like a creepy circus. Are you ready for the show? Now tell me, where did all your courage go? I'm back. Boo.
Hello, so today is November 4th, so yes, Chaos-a-ween has ended. So this video has unintentionally included in week 4. There wasn't really much to say about week 4. I spent a lot of that week just running errands and doing chores, but at least I was also reading on the side, so yeah, so I got to read up on this and finish it up, and wow, just like the Martian Chronicles, it really amazed me. You see, in this book, the main character, Montauk, he starts out as a fireman, and in the future, when houses are now all fireproof, like they don't need firefighters to put out fires anymore, so instead the firemen start fires and they go and burn books. And so books are illegal, and It's funny, actually, I was telling my mom about this book and she commented, well, we couldn't do that in the present time when a lot of books are electronic now. we have all the digital files and, Kindles and everything. But it is like, very, thoughtful, kind of thought-provoking subject. Yes, in it, Montague, early on, he speaks with this young lady who talks about things that allow him to kind of like think outside of the box. She asks him, are you happy with life? And he's like, well, yeah, of course I'm happy. But as he thinks about things a bit more, he realizes, no, I'm actually not happy. And I like to see a lot of the kind of influence that it's had on some of my favorite books, because I love dystopian books. I saw some kind of similarities with, The Giver. And before anyone complains, hey, that's a good thing. Art inspires art. I mean, I can tell you as somebody who has, studied humanities stuff, I mean, when you look at all the eras of art, it's all about kind of taking that kind of inspiration, admiration, and a lot of the reason, too, is because of how, like, it's all about shared experiences. I admit, once again, I do see eye to eye with, Mr. Bradbury on things, and I mean, my own dystopia that I'm writing right now, my young adult dystopia book, I deal with like a lot of the same themes, like with the government rewriting history, taking away a lot of the great stories of the past. And I mean, it's not only about like leaving the masses in ignorance, but it's also about like, the no longer having the good things that books do for us, like the kind of comfort and joy that books can bring us. Yeah. So yeah, this is a really great book. I mean, there were some things I didn't like. I didn't like it when some of the characters would go on speeches about stuff. But it really is really great. I mean, the language and prose was just so incredible. So if you are a high school English or language arts teacher, I beg you, please assign this to your students. But with that, that is the end of Chaos-a-ween. So now that it's November, I'm going to go on to read-a-thon. I have quite a few goals there. And so I will, after this video, I'm going to also put up my vlog of what it was like for Donna Marie Reed's 72-hour readathon, which was known as Hallow-a-thon, and share what I read then. So altogether, October ended up being very pleasing for me. And I thank Skye's Library for setting up this readathon. And I'm glad that I now know how to correctly do Chaos-a-thon, because I've tried doing Chaos-a-thon before. I didn't realize that I was supposed to roll dice. But with that aside, I definitely look forward to future Chaos-a-thons. So please feel free to tell me, did you participate in Chaos-a-thon? What were you able to read? What were your, or just what you read in October in general? Feel free to share. Have you read any of the books that I've discussed here? And if so, what did you think of them? Was your Halloween like, if you celebrate Halloween? Yeah, so please leave a comment and please do all that good stuff, like this video and subscribe so you can see my future stuff. And if you made it to this part of the video, please leave an emoji that is either orange or red. So orange heart or red heart, or like, fire flames or circles, shapes, any one of the red or orange emojis. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you luck, or as Brian Regan would say, take luck.